Hello, welcome to gusmcdoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. In this series, we play through each of the battles in the American Grand Campaign in Close Combat 4, the Battle of the Bulge. We use historical World War II US Army doctrine to plan and conduct each battle. This is the strategic map. It is 1600 hours on December 16, 1944, and the weather is overcast. US forces have no air support, no artillery, and no supply drops. In the last episode, the after-action review for Turn 1, we recommitted to battles at the roadblocks along the front lines, blocking at the north and south, and withdrawing under pressure in the centre, with 7th Armoured Division Combat Command Peiper moving from Sunvit to the Schnee-Eifel West. The next battle is back where we started the campaign, at Simmerath, between the US 14th Cavalry Group and the German Kampfgruppe Peiper from 1st Panzer Division. Three-storey buildings dominate Simmerath. Holding the hotel, the church, and the large three-storey building next to the square should be your prime objectives. After these buildings are secure, you should keep the road to Baugnez clear as a path of retreat. The forest south of the town can be used for flanking movement, so guard it as well. On the US side is an American cavalry battle group from the 14th Cavalry Group, under command of Colonel Devane. It moves very fast, but reserves are depleted. The company consists of 3 platoons. First platoon is mostly armoured cavalry, M8 Greyhounds and M20s. Second platoon is mostly recon scouts. And third platoon includes 2 anti-tank guns and a light self-propelled gun. The original squads from the first battle retain their names and statistics. Notably, the 2 Stuart light tanks that were destroyed have been replaced with a single light 75mm self-propelled gun on a Stuart chassis. Let's rename the new squads off-camera for ease of reference. Now, let's review each of the squads. 1-1 is 1st Platoon Headquarters Command Half-Track. 3-1 is 3rd Platoon Headquarters. 2-4 is a recon squad. 1-2 is an M8 Greyhound 37mm. 1-3 is an M8 Greyhound 37mm. 1-4 is an M20 with a heavy machine gun. 1-5 is an M20 with a heavy machine gun. 2-1 is 2nd Platoon Headquarters. 2-2 is a recon squad. 2-3 is an M9 bazooka team. 3-2 is a 57mm anti-tank gun. 3-3 is a 57mm anti-tank gun. 3-4 is a Stuart light 75mm self-propelled gun. Next, let's look at the map and conduct a commander's estimate of the situation. Our mission is to guard against an enemy advance through Simmerath. A number of roads converge at the small village of Simmerath. The village consists of 2- and 3-storey wooden buildings with a 4-storey church tower to the north. The area immediately around the village is clear, but soon gives way to forest. Observation from the village buildings is likely to be good, and the roads make natural fire lanes. The village buildings also provide good concealment to infantry, but the wooden walls do not provide much cover against direct fire. The surrounding forest is an obstacle to vehicle movement, channeling vehicles into the village and along roads. Key terrain includes the church tower, the hotel building to the west, the 3-storey building to the south overlooking the square, and the road to Baugnez to the west. Each of these points controls movement through the village. The surrounding forest means the roads are the avenues of approach for vehicles. Once again, the Germans are likely to come from the northeast, and with tanks and supporting infantry. They could push forward with infantry and keep panzers in the rear as fire support. Or they could use panzers to aggressively push through the village with infantry following in support. Either way, the panzers will need to pass through the areas marked by black boxes, which I will use as killing zones. And the infantry will need to cross open ground between the east and west ends of the village. Crossing open ground is when they will be most vulnerable. In this second defensive battle on the same map, I will use essentially the same strategy as in the morning. The Americans will put 2 platoons forward with the support platoon off to a flank. Support platoon would use the anti-tank guns and self-propelled gun to fire into the vulnerable flanks of the German attack. The scouts in second platoon would form a hard shoulder against an advance to the north, to channel the advancing Germans into first platoon's killing zone. The vehicles in first platoon would then spring the trap, ambushing the advancing Germans from behind the buildings in the western end of the village. The benefit in reusing the original plan is twofold. First, it was the best plan from the original terrain analysis. Second, we know it works. This is because each of the squads will occupy a designated firing position that will destroy or neutralize all hostile armoured vehicles approaching in their assigned sector of responsibility. However, the risk in reusing the same plan is that it can be predictable. It can also lead to lazy assumptions that the enemy will do the same thing over and over again. So it can leave you vulnerable and unprepared if the enemy does something unexpected. I have made my decision and have placed the platoons and squads in position. Once again, the anti-tank guns of 3rd Platoon on the right flank have good lines of fire into the engagement areas. And so we begin.
Nailed him!
3-2 knocks out the enemy platoon leader. Then opens fire on the Sturmgeschütz. There is another Sturmgeschütz and a Panzer IV to the rear. And 2 half-tracks are advancing in front. 3-2 knocks out the Sturmgeschütz, and immediately hunts for more targets. Corporal Hall and Private Jekyll on the gun are dead. The 50 cal on the Stuart opens up.
Köpfe runter!
3, Sergeant Watkins' anti-tank gun immobilises the heavy machine gun half-track and knocks it out. The Germans appear to have belatedly learnt the perils of pushing armour ahead of infantry.
Feigling!
German infantry advance on 2 axes. Third Platoon headquarters comes under fire. German armour moves up, out of line of fire of the anti-tank guns. The position is under pressure, and Sergeant Radiker and the steward mounts a minor local counterattack.
In position! Enemy spotted! Area secured! Area secured! His armor's too thick!
Lieutenant Mathis and 3rd Platoon headquarters is wiped out. No movement in the north. 1st and 2nd Platoons have not even engaged yet. Sergeant Radiker's steward cuts up the German assault from the rear. The Germans respond with mortar fire, and it is time to move. Narrow escape from the Panzer IV.
Move completed!
The Germans used smoke to try and blind the Stuart. German armour appears paralysed with indecision, unwilling to advance and unable to retreat. Mortar fire and time for the Stuart to move again.
Target eliminated. In position. Move completed. No clear path.
The Stuart is immobilised. And is knocked out.
All of our tanks have been destroyed.
(3-2) now manhandles the gun forward to a better firing position. The Sturmgeschütz is on the move. It might be moving on Hotel Simmerath. PFC McQueen in 2-3 lines up a flanking bazooka shot. And immobilises the Sturmgeschütz.
Area secured.
McQueen knocks out the Sturmgeschütz. He uses his final round against the mortar half-track, without effect, and goes to ground. Sergeant Radica from the Stuart has secured the Simmerath objective and crawls forward to cover. Lieutenant Bayer from 1st Platoon decides it is time for a counterattack to retake Simmerath. He orders Sergeant Herman Ford to engage the mortar half-track. Total American victory. The battle ended because the Germans' force morale got too low and they were forced to retreat off the map. The Americans gained control of the map and the German battle group was forced to disband. The Americans won the battle because they control a greater number of crucial victory locations than the Germans. The Americans took 6 killed, 4 wounded, and 1 tank destroyed. The Germans took 20 killed, 17 wounded, 2 tanks destroyed and 1 captured, and 3 half-tracks destroyed. Let's examine the American squads. Valdez and Yoda share credit for the half-track kill. McQueen and Iverson share credit for the Sturmgeschütz kill. Mathis's whole team was wiped out. Garibaldi and Evans share credit for the Sturmgeschütz kill, and Evans is credited with the half-track kill. Unfortunately, both Hall and Jekyll were killed in the process. PFC Ramassa on Sergeant Watkinson's gun is credited with the final half-track kill. Last, but not least, Private Bayer is visited in hospital by a general, no less, who pins on him the Silver Star for his work defeating the enemy in the Battle of Simmerath. But he would gladly trade the medal to get his buddies back. So far, the campaign remains a major American victory. The Grant campaign has 16 days remaining. Your defence of the Ardennes is progressing better than your historical counterparts. Over the campaign, cumulative American losses are 61 killed in action, 37 wounded in action, 3 tanks, and 6 guns. Cumulative German losses are 141 killed, 120 wounded, 14 tanks, and 9 armoured vehicles. So, what did we learn? The battle belonged almost entirely to the guns of 3rd Platoon, who accounted for the majority of German losses and all the American losses. The Germans made 2 key mistakes worth pointing out. First, the Germans rushed forward their armour ahead of infantry support, which led to at least 3 of their vehicle losses. There are times where this is warranted, but infantry screened tanks, so the reward should be worth the risk. Here, it was not. Second, the Germans failed to secure their flanks. As they advanced, they were cut to pieces by flanking fire from the guns. Their assault failed, and their panzers halted, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Instead, the Germans should have pushed their infantry forward to screen their armour. They could have identified the American positions, which could have allowed their panzers and mortar to neutralise the American guns and secure their flanks. This would have allowed them to take the fight to 1st and 2nd platoons. And the outcome could have been very different. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for the next episode.